All right. Hello, everyone. I've got two guests, not one, but two guests today. John. Welcome, John.
Thank you.
Yeah. John, you've been seeing as he's your flight instructor. And you know him as the flight instructor now. And Liam. They're both coming from the US and Canada. Mm-hmm. We had a very intense week so far with a big company gathering in Lake Como, which was it fun?
Mm-hmm. It was a lot of fun.
Really good stuff. And I have a first question for both of my guests, which is, who broke the sofa?
That was Edmund and me.
All right.
Yeah,
by the way,
took two of us.
Edmund is right on the back there. Come on, show yourself. Come on.
I don't think he's mic'd up, so you might have to speak right into...
Edmund, you see Edmund is here. And, you know, big reveal, Edmund is very tall.
Very tall.
So, you see, that's why we don't have him on screen, because otherwise we'd have to rebalance all the cameras. Okay, and he's backup, yes, and he's going to manage the chat. So if you ask something to Edmund, he's there, so we can see him if he's responding or not. Or if it's a bot, I'm also in the room, you see. You wanted to let everyone know. Good stuff. So because I've got two guests, I want to make advantage of having them here, and I'll start with John. We were just saying the beta of Scramble is going pretty strong right now.
We finished it, but it went great. It was a great 2 weeks. We had a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of engagement. We had what seemed like a pretty passionate, inspired, and excited player base. So yeah, we're excited for more people to play it and open it up wider.
What's the key thing that made you excited about the feedback, and what's the thing that you think I got to work about it on it?
Well, the beta that we released was a pretty narrow slice of the game. So there's clearly a lot more content that we have to populate in the game. But what got us most excited was that the tutorializing that we did was pretty slim. It was not an advanced tutorial, but everybody seemed to be able to pick the game up and play it, and that is always the most important response you can get from your very first beta. So people are attaching to it, I think, and the dogfighting and piloting of the airplanes is intuitive, which was a thing that we worked on for a really long time. So that...
Yeah, I was going to say that's the thing. I mean, working on the model was your number one priority for a long time, and it's now been... We had the focus group, then we had the beta, and so you think you nailed it? You think that's working well?
I feel very confident that Scramble is going to be accessible to anybody who sees our turn-based airplane game and wants to pick it up and play it should be able to pick it up and play it. So the physics and the flight modeling and the damage modeling of Scramble had sort of been in there from very early. Yeah. But making the tools and the control scheme easy to engage with was the biggest challenge. But the whole team feels really good about it right now. All right.
Okay. And you actually met the whole team in Lake Como recently. What's the feedback they are having? Are they equally excited? Are they?
Yeah. There's a lot of pressure and tension that builds as you come up to releasing something publicly, right? And a closed beta, even though it's closed, is still you don't want people to bounce off of it because you only have one opportunity to get good feedback. So that leading up to that release is a stressful period, and then we just sort of immediately. I think we released the beta, and in the little Discord server we had spun up, maybe 4 or 5 hours after we had released the beta, somebody wrote their first bit of feedback and said, "Well, I've been playing for 3 hours, so after 3 hours of playing Scramble, here are my thoughts." And that the fact that somebody had already filled most of the time that had been released kind of relieved all of the tension. But then, the other teammates working on the game, Spencer and Miguel especially, we Skype every day, but we don't ever actually get to meet each other in person because we all live thousands of miles away. So it's pretty awesome to get together in person and I don't know, spend time together.
What are the next steps for the development of Scramble now, and for public making it publicly available as well?
How much am I allowed to talk about making it publicly available?
Just say stuff. Just
say stuff. Yeah.
So what's the plan? Let's say the plan. And
the plan?
Yeah.
I mean, the plan leading up to any sort of release for a game like Scramble, we did our closed beta, which was validating the core dogfight gameplay. It was with enough people for us to feel confident in the feedback, but it's still with a small group of people. So the next steps are to start doing things like public betas, public demos, and then some more closed betas to dial in the rest of the features that lead up to launch. So
we can say that there's a demo plan, right?
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Say that. Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to be putting it out on the Next Fest demo that starts on June 10th.
Woo!
Yeah. It's been a long time. We've been working on Scramble for a long time.
Do you already know what is going to be in the beta? Or
Yeah. We have our features list.
Okay.
So we finished our closed beta, and a week ago we had our kind of like internal team postmortem on the closed beta. We figured out which features do we think we can bring online in the kind of 2 to 3 weeks that we have to turn around and polish things. And which features are we just going to like let sit and start to show to people later in the summer? But we have a feature list. We will all return from travel starting Monday and have a couple weeks to refine it. There will be new features in the public demo that even the closed beta users didn't get to test.
Okay.
So I don't know. We're excited about all of it, I think.
That's great.
Yeah.
One of the things I'll tell you, it's like insider secret. It's like the difference between beta and demo. I think is pretty clear. What is also important to note is that, of course, the players are going to be different, because when you do a beta, you've got like people who are absolutely very interested in the game, so they really want to share thoughts and I would say be constructive about it.
Everybody was great. They were really nice. Yeah. There was no negativity.
On demo, you might see that kind of potentially also the opposite, right?
Yeah, I would expect that, or it would be good for us to release the demo widely enough so that we find some people who don't like Scramble and figure out who the core audience is, because like we can take a lot of the feedback that we get from the Next Fest demo and figure out who is our core audience and what aspects of the gameplay that we've provided so far are working the best for them and what are working the worst, and which do we polish, which do we cut, which do we enhance. So yeah, it'll be important to find people who don't like Scramble too.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think that's, when we did demos all the time, every time we've done demos, we came out of it with a sense of, okay, we should market the game to these people with, saying these things, because that's what they expect from the game, and if they didn't expect something, we sort of steer a bit the communication as well. So it's not only for development, but it's also for positioning and marketing. That's very important. What are we seeing here? You just captured this, right? Or was it recently captured? The footage you were seeing here?
That was today.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that was a playtest that Edmund had. And Edmund had never played the game before. So this is Edmund's first go at Scramble, and it looks like he won.
Well, okay. Is it because he's very good, or?
I don't know. You can ask him.
So, the development is like, you were saying about content and so on. How hard is it to populate Scramble with content and to sort of think about the metagame and looking at what's around Scramble other than the model and the actual vertical gameplay?
Yeah, I think for us, we've now built Scramble to be a turn-based dogfighting and aerial combat simulation engine. So I think there's probably 2 paths that we can typically go down with like major content releases for Scramble. One of those paths is mechanical enhancements. Like right now, Scramble is only dogfighting; it's only shooting at airplanes. But as Scramble continues to exist as a property for a long time, I'm sure that we can add all sorts of different aspects of aerial combat, and that includes stuff like bombing or different ages of airplanes and things, but then there's tons of airplanes that you can add, and every airplane has different performance envelopes. They will be able to you'll be able to fly them tactically in different ways. They'll have different weapons and subsystems available, and in Scramble we simulate not all, but a bunch of different subsystems within each airplane, and we try to acknowledge like locations of subcomponents for damage and how different subcomponents integrate together, like radiators, engines, multiple fuel tanks and stuff. So there's always plenty of airplanes and theaters and stuff that we can look at exposing.
We're just saying, I think it's a very interesting thing. So planes are different, right? Each plane is very different. Is it true that adding one plane, adds also tactical options, or is it pretty much the same across the board?
I mean, I think that depends. There are lots of airplanes in the world, and so there will probably be certain airplanes that have similar performance envelopes and match up well against each other. So in that situation, you might not see tactics evolve a lot. But even going to for instance, the initial version of Scramble will have a Spitfire and it'll have a Hurricane on the British side. And even those two planes, they share an engine, like a motor, but they fly at different speeds. They turn at different rates. The Hurricane is more stable, and it can also turn in a very tight circle at lower speeds. The Spitfire is faster, and its guns are a little bit more spread out. It can be a little bit more challenging to get bullets on a target, but it's faster and it's more nimble, and it can pull like a harder turn at a higher speed. So even looking at two aircraft that have the same motor, you get a wide enough range in performance that it's worth bottling both of them.
We have a question. Will the game have a campaign? If so, will it be only British? Is there a progression system for units? There's not one question, there's three questions you lose. Well, I think you can only partially answer that, but
the game will have a campaign. Scramble will have a campaign that allows you to play as a squadron leader. And so you will command a squadron of pilots. Every pilot will have a unique identity. They'll all have unique pilot traits, and they will have traits that represent both strengths and weaknesses. So some pilots will be better at turning, some pilots will be better at shooting, some pilots will be better at the mental load that is placed on you by flying from battle to battle. And those pilots will change throughout the course of the campaign. We're not talking about a huge time. So it's not like you're going to have you won't have a pilot that develops the skills of an entire career throughout the course of the campaign. But you will also have a lot of pilots who die, and so you will have to replace them. And you'll start a campaign with pilots who are pretty well trained and experienced and ready for the war that's coming. And then as those pilots pass away, you will have to replace them with new recruits, and you will have, you should pretty quickly recognize which of those new recruits have traits that make them, or that help them excel in combat, which of those new recruits have traits that make them good candidates for leadership roles. And
so a bit of an RPG type approach as well, right?
A little bit,
Of course, no. Will pilots be based on historical figures?
Not based on historical figures, but Scramble is also customizable. So the campaign of Scramble will be inspired by historical pilots, but we're not trying to recreate any pilots one-to-one. It'll be more of like a procedural generation, so you can play the campaign multiple times, and you'll have a different set of pilots with a different set of nationalities and names and traits and everything. But Scramble is customizable. You'll be able to eventually go into a scenario editor and create scenarios with pilots who have whatever sort of historical makeup or accuracy you want to put into the game. You'll be able to share that with people. So.
Cool. The Spitfire was mostly used against, what was it? BF-109s, and the Hurricane against bombers. Is this reflected in the game?
You can use the planes however you want. When you will have access to Spitfires and Spitfires and Hurricanes in the campaign, you will choose how you want your sections who are on patrol or waiting down to be scrambled, you'll be able to choose what kind of airplanes and what kind of pilots go into those sections. And then once you go into a dogfight, you can use the planes however you find they are going to tactically excel.
I can answer that one. Will it be available on Steam? Yes. Is there a progression system for units? Progression system for units, I think you means the planes, not the pilots.
We're focusing on progression in pilots, and the Battle of Britain was like it was short, right? There were maybe only 2 marks of a Spitfire used anyways. So since this first iteration of Scramble, which is hopefully a property that lives for a while, right? But like since this first iteration of Scramble is focused on specifically a few months at the beginning of World War II, we are not differentiating immediately one Spitfire from another, but we will be differentiating pilots quite a bit.
Okay. But the system is built to actually have progression of planes in the future, right? So
it's built so that you can define the performance of any aircraft that you drop in. So whenever we add aircraft, we will differentiate those, and I expect that we will find out through play testing and getting feedback what kinds of new planes people are most interested in seeing and most willing to engage with in future updates.
Makes sense. And final question before I move to Liam. I've always find it very cool to see on Scramble, which is something I think a big achievement. Everything remains very clean and and polished in terms of UI and number of stuff you've got on the screen, so you really see the action going. I guess it wasn't easy, right, to create something that's so clean and crisp and functional.
So it's. In Scramble, situational awareness is a major part, or is a major focus of Scramble, right? Like we have a simulated dogfight, but we break it down into a turn-based system. So by breaking it down into a turn-based system, we're immediately giving you more opportunity to look around the sky and understand what's going on and understand the battle space and the airspace. So it's always seemed like that should be a thing that we dig into. And so we try to provide you enough tools, both on the 2D HUD-based UI and on the 3D UI, to understand the energy states of the different airplanes, understand which airplanes might be a threat, which airplanes might be vulnerable. But ideally, we have made an engine that is flexible to scale from just a couple planes, like you have here, up to a lot of planes. And once you get a lot of planes on screen, the more image or the more iconography and stuff you put on the screen for each plane, it can lead to like a really cluttered airspace. So I would say it's been a challenge to balance providing enough detail for situational awareness for the case where you have one plane versus one plane, but ensuring that we don't throw so much stuff on the screen that it becomes like spaghetti by the time you have a lot of planes in the sky.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Liam.
Hi, Marco.
I'm fine. You're displaying your very new Slitherine sweaters. I'm happy that you're displaying it on screen.
Very on brand. Yeah.
Very on brand. What can you tell us? I mean, we were talking earlier about new stuff for command. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing. Tell us something about the next bit of command being released.
We're ready to announce our next piece of command DLC. So you guys watching the stream right now are going to kind of get a bit of a first word basically on it, and it's called Fail Safe. It's our new piece of DLC. It's going to be a full 12 mission campaign. That's coming out, and we're aiming for a Q3 release. So you can expect this in a couple months.
Couple months already, yeah, wow. Did we start beta already, or is it?
Beta is on the way. What we intend to do is next week, if you follow our Twitter and Facebook pages, you will see an announcement going out inviting people to participate in the beta. We're taking this wider than the forums. We'd like to see some new blood, some new testers participating. So keep an eye on our Facebook and Twitter accounts, the Matrix Games ones, and expect to see an announcement sometime next week.
Command, I think it's an interesting beast. I mean, we were looking at some of the evolution of Command over the years and so on. By the way, we just released an update on Command, right?
Yes, we did. Command has been getting a slew of updates, both the commercial version and Pro, if you guys follow that sort of news. We have been, over the last year, there's been upgrades to logistics, there's been upgrades to planning strike packages so that you can try and organize everything to arrive simultaneously. There's been updates to the database that add, really modern weapon systems like Rapid Drag and stuff that is, really cutting edge has been added to the game. So yeah, Command has been getting some great updates over the past year.
And the DLCs are usually very vertical about specific interests, right? If you like the naval part of it, there's one DLC about only carrier. There's stuff about jet fighters, like the French
Mirage.
The one in Africa. Mm-hmm. So what can we expect from Failsafe? What's the content and what's it focusing on?
So our showcases are usually very focused on a specific thing, a specific scenario, like airstrikes in Africa involving tankers and refueling, or specific carrier operations. This one, Failsafe, is going to be much broader. It's a 12 mission pack, and it's going to be taking place in 1965, so it's going to be a bit of a throwback. If any of you are familiar with naval warfare in 1965, the first anti-ship missiles are really starting to enter service. The first SAM systems are really starting to come online. So you'll have those tools, but they're not really great yet. They're okay. So you might have to rely upon with guns on occasion. It's also it's an awfully big pack that we're coming out with. Things are going to go nuts. I don't want to spoil too much, but it's because I want people to have the chance to experience the campaign. But some strategic weapons are going to get thrown around at some point. I can say that much. And you're going to have a chance to play. It's not just a single faction campaign. You're going to have a chance to play as NATO forces. You're going to have a chance to play as the UK. You're going to have a chance to play as the Soviets. And it's all going to be focused mostly around the North Sea. So it's going to be, Cold War gone hot, what they were planning for back in the day, which was a battle in the North Atlantic, trying to keep those shipping routes open for, Reforger and stuff like that. So for you Cold Warriors out there, it's your kind of thing.
It's interesting that Cold War is getting all this attention recently. I mean, there's a lot of games about Cold War. There's a lot of going back to some of that equipment. What do you think is so fascinating about that, that era, other than the fact that it's, it's sort of an unexpressed use of military equipment there?
I think you kind of hit it, nail on the head right there. Everyone was preparing for a war. Everyone was preparing for the big apocalyptic showdown, and it never happened. Thank God. There was all these preparations for war, and we saw, proxy battles. We saw, say, in the Mediterranean, the Egyptians fighting the Israelis and stuff like that. Little motor torpedo boats versus cruisers or destroyers, but you never saw those big fleet actions. You never saw the big, hundreds of aircraft going at it. And so I think as a sort of what-if thought experiment, there's a big appeal there. We never got to see how those first and second gen missiles really would have actually held up because they're horribly flawed, and so we don't know if they would have really worked that well or not.
The thing is also that these are there was a big advancement in technology then, so depending on which time you pick. So this is 65, you said?
Yes.
65, and it was already kind of pretty advanced, and in a way that you want to start using these equipments in a way. And so you said NATO, UK, Soviets.
Yep.
Okay.
Those are the big three that we're going to be hitting with this scenario. And like Marco was saying with the weapon systems, this was before CWIDs. This is before close-in weapon systems. So those missiles are coming at you, and you don't really have anything to shoot them down with. It's before decoys and really E-war is much of a thing either. So it's mostly going to be focused on those first and second generation missile systems.
Cool. Do you have any so you said Q3, you said?
Yes,
Q3?
We're going to be aiming for a Q3 release. We'll announce a more specific date as we get closer to it, but right now we're comfortable to say that we're going to hit Q3, and beta testing will start next week.
Okay, cool. Well, in two spoilers today, two big spoilers. because we like to treat you well. There's a few other things I wanted to say. As you know, Games Workshop has announced the next upcoming Skulls Festival. So that's going to happen at the end of this month. The 2 games we've got are going to be featured with new content, are going to be Battle Sector and Gladius. And both of them will get new content, both of them will get new stuff happening, and a lot of more reveals on both of these franchises. So stay tuned for that. That's the exact dates, I think. Edmund, give me the exact dates of Skulls. 23rd of May for 1 week. And see, that's what he's. I wonder why you were here. I was like, why is he here? Why is he here? Now there's a reason. Of course, Skulls comes with lots of promotions and sales and all that kind of stuff. So make sure you tune in for that as well. There's also going to be a lot of announcements about other Warhammer things that are not Slitherine, but we've seen stuff you can't imagine. It's really, really cool stuff. So tune in for that. It's going to be great. I want to also give you a few updates. Do we have the stream schedule? Yeah. So the streaming schedule for the next few days is Thursday. So after this we have Das. Hello, Das. Are you online? Playing Philogoric Kingdoms. I hear that Das really likes Philogoric Kingdoms. So if you want a bit rush of enthusiasm for a future game,
there he is.
He is there. Tomorrow we have a pretty packed schedule with Richard York playing Headquarters at 6, Yogg playing Starship Troopers at 8, and Hexabu playing Panzer Corps Bulge at 10. Saturday, Yogg is playing Philogoric Kingdoms. Aha, Yogg. That's going to be interesting. And on Monday, for Matrix Monday, we have Flashpoint Campaigns with Sergeant Zedok at 4:15, Ruler Waves with Das at 6:15, and Shadow Empire with Hexabu at 8:15. I see Francesco coming down. Maybe I said something about Warhammer that I shouldn't have said. No, okay, cool. I'm scared. I see them from here, and I was like, oh, what did I say? And then Tuesday we have Yogg Dog playing Gladius because it's my birthday and I got to choose. And then on Wednesday we have Yogg playing Sanctus Reach. As you can see, there's a pattern of Warhammer games being played. Sanctus Reach is great. It's not was great. It is great. It's great. It's still a great game. Happy to see it back in a schedule. As I said, there's going to be a lot of discounts for Warhammer stuff next week on the 23rd. But in the meantime, you can get the Battlestar Galactica series up to 80% off on Steam, and there's quite a few other things on sale on Steam. Fantasy General, all the Close Combat series, 80% off. By the way, on Close Combat, our friends at Snag just published the very old, republished the very old Close Combat series on Steam. So you can get Close Combat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on Steam. You can finish the bundle if you started playing Close Combat already, and that's on our page. Otherwise, go on the Snag publisher page, and you can get all these old classics reinstalled on your Steam account. Other thing, we have some cool war games as well on sale on Steam. We have Decisive Campaigns and Flashpoint Campaigns, both up to 80% off. On Matrix, we have an Age of Musket sale. Mm-hmm. Why did you choose Age of Muskets for this specific week? Just random, or?
It'd been quite a while from what I saw, so it was time for, if you like those older, sort of early modern titles. I thought it was time that people had a chance to pick those up.
Yeah, that makes sense. It makes sense. So there's Birth of Americas, both of them, English Civil War, For Liberty, that's a classic, Horse and Musket, Frederick the Great, Rise of Prussia, Pride of Nations, and War of Succession, to celebrate Ageod's future release of Philogoric Kingdoms. And Nuclear War Simulator is back on sale at 30% off. Is there any question there? Someone needs to remake Age of Rifles. Das Tactic, I think you're absolutely right. It is an interesting one. And I have to say, we've been trying to go back to Age of Rifles many times. Problem is that I think worldwide there's probably going to be like 50 people interested in the Age of Rifles game. So
I don't know anything about
yeah,
Age of Rifles.
see, he's not a target audience. Yeah, I'd love to do it again. And any other question there? Not really. Well, good stuff, guys. Next week, again, we are going to be just right before we start Skulls. So we're going to have more news about that, and waiting for the big news, the big announcements there. And of course, John and Liam will be back home.
I assume so.
Yeah,
Unless you tell me otherwise.
I hope your flight's not going to be delayed. It's been raining like cats and dogs here. It's a lot horrible weather. But anyway, we do what we can and with what we have. And so thanks for coming, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Good to be on.
And we'll see you all next week, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.